name's Brad Stafford. I'm a captain with the police department here in Douglasville. I know most of you, there are a couple new faces in here. I've seen some faces that every time we teach this class, you get out of work by coming to a lunch and learn and could teach the class yourself at this point. But hey, you know, that's okay. We're going to talk about active shooter today. Those of you that have not seen the class before, we'll learn a little bit about what an active shooter event really is. One of the things, one of the issues I feel is with the news media is they mix active shooter events in together with mass shootings or mass killings, and they try to, not that they're not horrific enough on their own, but they try to make it sound even worse than it is and that they're even more frequent than they actually are. The issue is, though, is once they do happen, although they are rare, they're extremely deadly, and they're getting more and more deadly each year that goes by. You'll see some numbers here in just a minute. I do try to define it. This is the FBI's definition of an active shooter event, if you want to know where it comes from. And again, it's someone actively involved in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined populated area. In most cases, they use firearms, and there's no pattern to their behavior whatsoever. You'll see different definitions, and that's why I'm asking you to pay a little attention when you're watching the news on different media outlets, because some of them will define as any time more than 3 people are killed, including the shooter themselves. Some of them will define them as any time more than 4 people are killed, including the shooter themselves. It just depends on who's doing the talking. And what about gangs? What if it's 2 rival gangs and they meet up at a nightclub and they all shoot each other? Is that an active shooter or a mass shooting event? Would you count that? What about domestic violence? We had here in Douglas County where a guy went and killed his whole family, including his kids. Would that be an active shooter event or a mass shooting event? And if so, my point is, if you lump all those things together, they're all horrible. But if any time somebody shoots more than 3 people, we're going to lump all that into a mass shooting event, well, then it's going to seem like we have a whole boatload of mass shootings. And it's not necessarily stranger on stranger crime. It's, you know, it's not necessarily something that you and your family, if you're not involved in gangs and drugs and so on, are ever going to come across, unless you just happen to be in the middle when they start duking it out with one another. So that's the reason why I bring that up. I think it's important. The numbers are bad enough on their own. We don't have to start making stuff sound worse than it actually is. So in the United States, since 2000, and then I'll update this a little bit, from 2000 to 2016, we had about 1,500 people die or be injured in active shooter events in the United States. From 2000 to 2016, about 1,500. Did I say 1,500? I've talked to so many times I can't remember what I say. In the last 3 years, we've had 500. So that tells you that they are increasing exponentially, and they're becoming more and more deadly in the last couple of years. One of the things that really got the numbers up was the country music events in Las Vegas, where you had 500 people at one event that were killed or injured. There were about 50 people, 58 people, I believe the exact number was, that were killed, and the rest of those people were injured in that event. That's a huge number of people at one event. Of course, Stoneman Douglas and some of the other events were also equally as deadly, about 50 people. So what can we do to start preparing ourselves a little bit in case we ever found ourselves? And what can we tell our family and our coworkers and friends about what we may be able to do to get a little bit more mentally and actually physically prepared for one of these events? And you have to understand a little bit about the human dynamics, the dynamics of your brain and your body, to understand what you're going to be going through when one of these life or death situations happens. Some of you may have been in life or death situations in your life already, and you're already aware of the parasympathetic nervous system, some of the things that happens in your brain and your body when you get that incredible dump, the adrenaline dump. You're not able to think and act the same as you are when you have time to think things through. It's one of the things the police and military study about our reactions to violent confrontations is what are our limitations in those, how to train for them so that you can get the reaction that you want out of the officers or the military personnel. And a lot of civilians don't go through that same training and thought process, and therefore they're shocked when they get in them and they freeze. What's it called when you're in a life and death situation? There's two ways you can react. It's fight or flight. And a lot of times what people don't understand is your flight reaction is to do nothing. Your flight reaction is to shut down completely and give up. It's not necessarily that you're going to have the thought process to get up and run and make good decisions about how you're going to flee. The frontal lobe of the brain literally shuts down and it all goes to midbrain thinking, which is not the part of the brain that says, okay, I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do that. Your midbrain literally can't do that. Your brain, when you get that adrenaline and epinephrine and norepinephrine, your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, all that step-by-step process thinking is done. You have instinctual reactions. That's what's left. Or you've trained yourself enough over and over and over again about what do I do in this situation that your body just reacts. Right? And I'll explain to you. The part of the brain that we're talking about is the part of the brain when you've had a busy day and you're tired and you're hungry and you just want to get home and you get in your car and start your car and you just arrive in your driveway after you drove home. How many of you think about your driving all the way home when you're tired and you don't? You work the gas, you work the brakes, you work the gear shift lever, you stop at stop signs, you stop when people come out in front of you. You do all the things you're supposed to do. You thought about none of it. Because you've trained that part of your brain and that process enough, you don't have to. You can shut down, those switches can be shut down, the other parts of your brain, and you can still do it. What about when gunfire erupts in the next room and you're at work? Most of us haven't thought about that, haven't planned for it, and talked to our neighbors and friends there in the room, our coworkers, about what we're all going to do together to try to survive that event. And therefore, what we're hoping for is we can think our way through it, and you can't. It's no different than the way we train the police department. If you never train for what happens when somebody pulls a gun on you and points a gun or starts shooting at you, what's going to happen to that police officer? It's not going to be good because we're not some superhuman people. We're just regular people put on a uniform every day. They will shut down. They will not react appropriately. So we train them over and over and over again in those situations. We talk a little bit about the dynamics of perception. And as I said, if the gunfire goes off in the room next door, that's not something that you're expecting. So as human beings, one of the other things that our brain likes to do is make everything go into a nice file that makes sense to us. Well, this doesn't make any sense. Gunfire in the next room here where you're trying to eat lunch, for most of you, makes no sense whatsoever. So you'll start to justify, your brain will automatically start to try to rationalize that event as being something else. Well, maybe somebody just drops a book. Maybe somebody's building something in the room. They're hammering something. I wonder what that is. In Las Vegas, it's fireworks. We all thought it was fireworks. So they all stood there. Okay? One of the things you'll see if you watch those videos from Vegas, we had one of our officers was there in the crowd that night in Vegas. He thought it was fireworks as well. He brought some video back from that event. You'll see that there were hundreds and hundreds of people in the middle of that venue that were being fired upon that all just laid down. They just laid down. And that is the fight or flight reaction kicking in with no pre-planning, no pre-thought about it. And I'm not blaming them. You don't blame a victim. It's not their fault. But one of the things we can do is talk about these and start trying to have a plan. And when you hear this and you realize what it is or what it potentially is, move and do something to get yourself out of the situation as quickly as possible. Stop trying to deny that it's possibly something else and take action. That's why we have these classes. Inclinations toward passivity is what we're just talking about. Once they realized their life was in danger, they had no plan and no way to process the information of what was going on. And they lay down. Texas church shooting. Person comes in, starts shooting. Everybody lays down in the pews. Just walk by, executing people. Kids, women, just execute them. Everybody just laid on the floor. And I understand that you're asking people to try to take some kind of action against somebody that has a rifle and handguns, and you don't have anything. You're in church. You're at work. But I will suggest to you that we got to start planning on doing something, or we're going to keep getting the same end result from these. And if you are left with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, then fighting is your only option that's left. And I think if we talk a little bit about this before these things happen, you can get together. I'll show you a video here in just a minute, where people, untrained people with improvised weapons can get together and overcome these threats and save yourself and a lot of other people if you do it. You don't have to be, Bruce Lee to... a couple of you know who Bruce Lee is. Y'all look old enough to know. A couple of you don't. I got to be careful with my references. I'm getting to that point in my life. Geographical awareness just means in all of your offices here in the city, where can we get out? Where are the exits? Where are there windows I could get out? So thinking a little asymmetrically, you don't necessarily have to run out a door. You can pick up your chair and smash the window out and jump out the window, possibly. Where are those places? Where are the places that you could barricade yourself where somebody couldn't just easily walk into that room and come after you? Those are things we need to think about. The OODA loop. Everybody gets a little chuckle out of this. OODA is an acronym that the police and military have been studying for decades. Observe, orient, decide, and act. That's the process that your brain goes through every time you are reacting to an outside stimuli and you're trying to make a decision about what you need to do about it. It's a loop. It's a process. You observe, figure out what it is that's going on about. You orient to what this stimuli is. You decide what you're going to do about it, and then you do it. If you know or you're familiar with that stimuli, when it comes in, it takes you about a second to a second and a half to go through this loop. But when somebody comes in the room right there and starts shooting a gun in here and nobody expects that and have a really hard time processing it because we're not trained to do that and so on, how long could that process take? Right? A great deal longer than a second and a half. I mean, it may take 3, 4, 5 seconds for you to realize what's going on and then look around and decide what it is you're planning on doing about it and do it. How much damage can somebody do coming in through there with an automatic rifle in 4 or 5 seconds? I mean, it'd be everybody in here, right? So we got to shorten the loop. And we talked to this to our law enforcement personnel as well. The more you can train on that stimulus, the more that it's less shocking to you, the faster you close that loop. And we have to close the loop, we have to shorten the loop, because as long as they're in charge and they're making the decision and we're reacting to their decisions, we're in the loop. What happens if we start to decide and act? Now what do they got to do? They got to go through the loop. Now we're winning. As long as you're reacting to what somebody else is doing, you're losing. You're losing. That's kind of true in life. And it's no different in a fight. You have to start taking charge and make them react. What happens when that guy comes in here? What's he thinking when he opens the door and his idea is to come kill as many people as he can in a quick amount of time because it's going to make him famous or whatever in the hell they're thinking? And they come through that door and everybody doesn't just lay down. Half of you get up and try to storm him and fight. You think he's expecting that? Hey, hold on, time out. That's not how this is supposed to go. I've got the gun. And now he's got to observe, orient, decide, and act. And now we're winning. And I'll show you a video here in a second. We'll bring home the point a little bit. This is the short little directions that the Department of Homeland Security came up with, and they produced a video, which I think it's a good video. And this seems, that's kind of simple, Brad. That's the best you got for us? I understand. Problem is, there again, you're not going to have the ability to go through a long, drawn-out, process-oriented plan. We already know that. We know what we're going to be thinking with, and that's our midbrain and not too much it. So run, hide, fight. If you can run and get out, you should do that. If you can hide, make sure it's hopefully somewhere where you can barricade the door. If you're in there with some other people, improvise some weapons and be prepared if they breach that door. Because if they breach the door, now you're trapped in there and you got one chance left. And you got to be prepared to do the last one. And anyone can do it with just a little bit of mental preparation and understanding, making that decision today. I will not lay down in the pew and die. I'm going to fight. And I'm going to grab whatever I can, and I'm going to use it, and hopefully there'll be another couple of my coworkers or friends or family member in there, and we're going to get together, and you don't have to handcuff the guy and take him to jail. You don't have to. You just got to pin him down on the ground and wait for some other help to arrive. Just lay on top of him so he can't keep shooting people, or she can't keep shooting people, although that's very rare. Females to be involved. There's only been a few. If you would, we'll watch this video real quick.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, Try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
So run, hide, fight, very simple, and it needs to be simple so that everybody can remember it. There's, one of the things I like to point out if you're going to take off running, you don't need your purse, your jacket, your good shoes that you leave under the desk. Now, leave all that stuff. If you get outside and once the first responders come, they're going to make you drop all that stuff in a pile anyway, have your hands up, search you, and so on, because we don't know who's who. So leave that stuff and get out. Get out while the getting's good, as my grandpa used to say. Don't wait, because then maybe some of your egress was cut off by wherever this shooter is run, because they're going to be moving quickly trying to get as many people as they can. That's what they're there for. So get out. You cannot reason with these people. You're not going to talk them out of doing what they're doing. They're there to kill people. For whatever reason. They're there to kill people. It's been proven time and time again. You try to get up, they kill you. So giving up isn't an option. Run, hide, or fight. How many people think the first person, and those people got blocked in that office together, the first person they hit with that fire extinguisher was the lady in the red sweater? Huh? Somebody hit that lady. Huh? Oh! Huh? Shh! Oh! Yeah. Somebody hit that lady with that fire extinguisher. Yeah. Somebody did. I always look around the room, and there's always someone like, oh, I would hit that rifle, man. Everybody's scared, but you got to remain quiet. There's good advice there about cutting off your cell phones and so on. Concentrate on what you're doing. Improvise weapons. Get a little plan together. I'm going to be over here. You be on that side. He comes through. We're going to hit him. I mean, that's about as good as the plan you need. You'll see another gentleman here in a video here in just a second that has a couple other ideas. And he's teaching kids at a local technical college, which I think is a great idea. Have no training. You know, he doesn't go pick the biggest, burliest guys in the room. Anybody can do this.
Both of these videos you can get off YouTube, by the way. It's not something super secret. You can get on YouTube and find it and watch it again with your family.
Incredible.
Is given the airline
like an average American 20-year-old.
Basically, what we're dealing with here is a last resort survival measure. The active shooter or the terrorist is on the premises shooting people. How would you know, first of all? Well, it's going to be kind of obvious. Screams, gunfire. You know how to recognize gunfire? I don't know if most of you have ever heard live gunfire. It doesn't sound like in the movies. Very important you learn how to recognize gunfire in a crowded environment. We teach that in the program. We'll distinguish between real gunfire and non-real gunfire. You recognize gunfire, you're hearing screams, perhaps you even see casualties or injured people. You see people running away. You are not able to run away and make it. Why would one not be able to run away and escape? Because you're trapped. Now let's talk about responding to an active shooter and the timeliness of it. How long do you think it will take you, all of you, to get off your chair from where you are right now and make it to me, right here? If you were running for your life.
Second.
How many seconds? I guarantee you, top 3. But I don't want to guarantee it. I want you to do it. Boom! Very nice job. That was excellent. I knew I could count on UCI for all this. That good stuff. Fantastic. Very nice. Now, once again, would you be prepared to do that? Well, guess what? I think so. You're hearing screaming. You're hearing shouts. You're hearing gunfire. Are you going to know it's coming? It's getting closer and louder. This thing is locked down. Sure you will. You'll be ready. But I'm not proposing that you'll wait sitting in your chairs like that. That will be for a surprise entry to that door that will be totally unexpected. Not going to be the case. I will teach you where to stand and how to position yourself so you have a tactical advantage versus a shooter coming to that door. So when he comes to that door, he's not going to go and then come in. Okay? He's coming in. He's looking to kill. He's looking for the target. He won't see these two sides. You have a coordinated action coming on him. One of you, at least one of you, if not both of you, are going to be successful at, hey, again, not putting a handcuff on the guy and arresting him or killing him. No. Stopping him from shooting, bringing him to the floor, and containing him on the floor so he can't continue his violence action. Very simple. Okay? Since we're going to use 2 examples here. One is on this door that has one side only, and then 2 is that door that has 2 sides in the event that you have 2 types of scenarios that come at you. And that's why I use this classroom as well, because there are 2 kinds of door. Now, what will help you, because obviously not the whole classroom needs to be here. Who is going to make contact? The first 2, top, the first 2. So 2 people on each door, on both sides of the door. No, wait, no, yeah, I'm explaining and then I'll call you. Okay, one. Second. What does everybody else do? Where? No, where would you be? In front of him? You just learned a big lesson. When he comes in, he's looking straight ahead. So safety says, anybody who doesn't have a role, and many of you shouldn't have a role in this case, get out of the zone. Get out of the kill zone. So go there. in the far corner against the same wall he comes to, or that far corner. Definitely not in front of him. But there's going to be a few of you that are going to be required to do one very important thing that's going to assure the success of those by the door. And that's attracting his vision and attention on them by throwing object and running across the room in the opposite direction, if you can help it, than where the attackers, defenders are going to be positioned at. So if I'm coming here, you don't want me as a shooter to turn and look here, right? What you're going to do, you're going to go like that and throw object running this way. I'm coming this way, bam, that's it. Now how much time do I have, honestly, when I come to that door? 1 second, baby. What? So we're talking, time has now shrunk significantly for the shooter to be able to be shooting effectively. So just practice with me one time the drill. I'm here, no, come here. One, and then you, right there. Good, good. What will help you a lot is actually push the knee here. Yeah, because that will collapse a lot easier than my entire body, especially if I'm strong. So just aim for the knee. You see that? That's what. Try one time. The knee. Yeah. Oh yeah. Much better. Nice job. Nice job. Shots fired in the corridor. Shots fired in the corridor. Nice and safe. Whoa! Yes, sir. Right on. So, you okay? Yeah. So, shots fire! Move, 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 move. One, go! You good, Steve?
Yeah, good.
All right, so what did you shoot at?
What's that?
What did you shoot at?
One shot in the middle. It was one person, one shot.
You did see a person. You managed to see a person.
Well, it was dark, so...
All right, all right. Now, did you notice that?
Yes.
Did that throw you off any?
For sure, because I had to look around it.
Right,
For sure. That,
Okay.
That took away a potential target area.
Right there.
So
right
I had
there.
my first response was to look for a target other than this.
Other than this. So
So
it took
the-
you, what, a second and a half?
For sure, it played into the Yoda.
Of course.
So it delayed me a second or two to look for another target. Maximum one shot, and I don't even know if it was a person.
So we now cut down 2, maybe 3 shots from before with the handgun, with broad daylight, or with one side surprise, to maximum 1 shot without knowing if it's even a target. That's a big improvement, right? Big improvement. Okay, one more time. Shots fire. Shots fire. All right. No martial art is involved here. This is basic stuff. Football, tackle, wrestling. Overwhelm the target. Overwhelm the threat. This is with a machine gun, guys. If he had a box cutter, do you think he had better chances? I don't think so. Right? You have to do this with a box cutter to make a difference. No way. He wants to do that. No way. He can't even do one, barely one with a gun. Box cutter, no chance. This information is essential. Anybody out there get caught in the mall in a terrorist attack or any type of attack? Anybody get caught in the school? Essential. You know, get organized. 1, 2, get over here. Ready, ready. This is the game. That's the plan. Can you explain what I just taught you today in a shortened version to a bunch of people? Yes, of course you can. That's why I decided to bring this on to universities and schools. Why? Because it's an educational system. That's what we do. We educate. That's a perfect platform to educate the next generation in creating a safer society.
Good information? Easy? You can get a plan together in about 5 or 10 seconds with a couple people, as long as it's not the lady in her red sweater there. Right? But everybody else could get on board with those quick plans. A guy had an automatic weapon, barely squeeze off a shot or two instead of coming in and everybody laying down and him just walking up the pews and taking out 50 people who were there to do nothing but worship. But we got to start thinking a little differently We got to have a little bit of a plan. We got to talk to other people about these plans, because the faster we can get that plan together and have everybody know what they're supposed to do, the better success we're going to have. But we have zero success giving up. Zero success. And the only reason these people keep doing what they're doing is because they think it's easy. The only reason is they expect to go in there with no resistance whatsoever and to be able to kill as many people as they can kill before they either give up, get killed, or kill themselves. So we got to change that dynamic. And the only people that can do it are you all, as many people as we can get this information out to. Because when it starts getting hard, they'll start doing something different. Because these people aren't into hard. They're cowards. The only reason you kill a bunch of unarmed people is because you're a damn coward. And they look for the most cowardly, and I don't mean that the people in the church were cowardly, but what's the chances of a people in the church worshiping having a bunch of guns on them? Right? It's a soft target. And that's what they're looking for, the softest target they can get. Law enforcement response, the one thing that we try to instill in people is when we first get there, a lot of people, they're running up trying to tell us what happened, so on and so forth. Hey, so-and-so's injured, you need to help. So they're not going to stop for injured people. As much as we want to make sure they don't injure anybody new before we stop and render aid. And we actually go back and get firemen and bring and escort firemen in there so they have armed escorts inside what's called the warm zone or the hot zone. So we're going to go through there. If he's not dead or gives up, then we'll kill him. That's the bottom line. Okay? They're killing innocent people, so we'll try to get them to give up. If they don't give up, we're going to shoot them. I shouldn't say we'll kill them. They may not die. Or we'll arrest them. Sometimes they give up. A lot of times they kill themselves. So we make sure that the threat is eliminated. No one else can be hurt. Now we assume there's another one, and we start looking for them. And then another contingent of our personnel is getting firemen and bringing them into the injured. So we will attend to them. We're just not going to attend to them until we believe that the initial threat is taken care of in some way, shape, or form. I didn't mean to sound callous like we're just in there killing people, but understand that, and anything you have in your hands you need to drop, because the officers are automatically going to be a little leery about anybody carrying anything, because in these instances you all know, just as well as I do, that they've been explosive devices been used in them, secondary explosive devices planted to hurt incoming first responders and so on. So we're very worried about those things. So please just drop what you got and understand that there's going to be very little interaction with that law enforcement until we get the scene secure. And then we'll separate you out and we'll try to find anybody that was a witness to this and get somebody with you to try to get that information from you. Because we are interested in making sure, first and foremost, there aren't additional people involved that we didn't know about. We would love you to have a plan, what we call a action plan, EAP, together in each one of your offices. We know even in the city here, we're spread out in a bunch of different buildings and locations. Get with your coworkers and look around and find out what's an area you could barricade yourself. What's in that room that you could use as an improvised weapon, so you don't have to think about it then. You already know there's a fire extinguisher in there. There's a, I don't know, down at the park there might be baseball bats or golf clubs or, all these other things that you could use. And understand where are those things. And when we get here, you showed you two different kind of doors in there where you could have people on each side of the door, or one door was what we call a wall door. You could only have people try to attack him from one side. What kind of doors are you dealing with? How can you lock it? Could you put a copy machine in front of it? What are some things that you can do to try to make it safer? And have that plan in place and talk about it with one another. Now, how to get out of the building. What are the easiest and best ways to do that? What's maybe an asymmetrical way where you're not going through a door? And if you guys have any issues with the EAP or want to talk with one of us at the police department, we go and do these for the businesses around the community. We certainly can come do it at our own, for our own people. Crisis kits, we've had people that say they assembled those things, put some stuff together in case they had one of these emergencies. You know, that's going to be up to your supervisors whether they okay whether you guys having some kind of thing set up, pre-planning. Accounting for all the individuals. We always say as part of the EAP, we'd like you to have some kind of rally point. If everybody evacuates out of the building, you know, where would you go to where we know everybody's made it out? So we're not, if everybody runs out a different way, which may happen. Could we all, if you ran out of City Hall, we're going to meet in front of Gumbo's. Something everybody knows, and we're going to be able to, you know, look around, and Chelsea look around and go, okay, we got all our people that were in City Hall are out. Or no, we're missing so-and-so and so-and-so, and then they can let us know that, hey, we're still missing a couple people. Let's try to find them. Just a couple ideas. Part of these programs now, we give them in the community, and they want to know, you know, hey, the Texas shooting you talk about, what could we do in our church? So that's what why this slide came about. There are several churches now here in Douglasville that are hire police officers to be there during their worship services. Some of them have police officers that are off duty that just happen to attend church there, and they remain armed, and they're like security people, and they are stationed at certain points in the church when it's going on, so they're not being paid for it, but they're just take that on as themselves to try to help it be more secure. Some of them have parishioners that are not police officers that carry firearms in there now. We certainly would want you to have an emergency action plan in place for that church. And again, we're talking about teaching the survival mindset. That's one of the keys to me. We've taken some heat about it actually when we teach these classes. Is we telling people to fight, even kids in schools, because the reason why I tell people to do that is because not fighting is proved to be ineffective. If you show me, curling up in a ball, hiding in a corner, or something works, then I would teach that. But it doesn't, and they don't care who you are. They don't care that you gave up. They like it, actually, when you do. So I tell you, don't give up. Don't do it. Do something they don't expect, see what happens. Stoneman Douglas, one of the things we learned is they came up with a little new trick where they pull the fire alarm and all the students know what they're supposed to do in a fire alarm, which is to leave the classroom and be all in the hallways together, bunched up on their way out the door. And so now we have some different plans in place here in Douglas County about our fire alarm drills, and we've worked with our school system. And not every fire alarm is an evacuate immediately fire alarm, and also there's police officers en route to every fire alarm in Douglas County. You pull a fire alarm in the school, we got cops going to it every time. Turnaround drills, they get them in the hallway and tell them turn around, and they all go back into their classroom and lock down. So we're drilling the students to understand if something, it's a trick, basically. And we've got to do drills with them and train them so they get better and better at understanding to get back in and, they go into a lockdown at a school. There's not so much run, hide, fight in a school. But even some of that's being discussed. Arming teachers. They do that in different countries. That's been a big controversy here in the United States. I'm not here to give my opinion about it, but that's one of the things that people have talked about. And then even the children and the teachers, talking to them about survival mindset. Controversial. Start talking to kids about, fighting somebody. People get very upset when they think that they're going to have to talk to their kids about that. That's a personal thing for all of you to decide who have children, whether you think that's right or wrong. I think it's a sad day when we have to talk to them about it. But I also, my personal opinion is, you know, you can choose to do it or not do it, but let's not act like that isn't today. Because it is. So, anybody have any questions about that bright, shining light of a topic we talked about here today? No questions? All right, well, you don't have to go back to work, but you can't stay here.